So Ryan,
Yeah, hi.
Rokt has made the Power 100. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Could you describe what Rokt is?
Yeah, of course. So Rokt is a channel that helps advertisers acquire brands during the transaction moment. And that's essentially the flow that people are in when they've made a choice on a commerce site, they've decided what they wanted to purchase, and they're now following a series of pretty standard steps from the selection cart all through the payments page and the confirmation page. And essentially what Rokt does is that it enables advertisers to engage that very audience at a moment where there is a very high intent to make a purchase. And so imagine you just made a purchase and I incite you to make a second purchase. I don't know how you behave as a shopper, but a lot of people tend to also take that on. And so from an engagement perspective and conversion perspective, we see a lot of very high conversion and engagement. And that's basically what we do. We help brands find those really high intent audiences at a moment where they're most likely to convert on an offer. And we help them basically acquire those net new shoppers.
And I read that in the year that you joined, so 2024, Rokt grew 40% even after years of expansion. Can you put your finger on why the demand is so high for Rokt?
I think the simple answer is that it works. Ultimately, if you're able to solve for a need that advertisers and marketers have, then you are more likely to unlock that value, attract more. And we actually call this the Rokt flywheel.
Okay.
We actually put the consumer at the heart of everything that we do. So we think about you as a shopper and we think, if I show you something that's relevant to you, you're more likely to convert on it. If you convert on it, the advertiser is more likely to acquire that new customer, be happy and spend more. If you spend more as an advertiser, then the merchant that is part of our ecosystem is better monetizing their own inventory and is also making their own customers happier because we prove that that person found utility in whatever we presented to them, which helps us then drive more customers. That leads that flywheel to happen. And all of it is really rooted in that baseline principle that we want to make sure that we always put relevance at the heart of everything we do. We're not just showing any offer to any customer. I think that's sort of the special sauce of Rokt, is that we show the most relevant thing to that person at that point in time, at a moment where they're most open and likely to engage with it. And I think that for now, this has been working, and the 40% that you're talking about has been the case not just in 2024, but in 25, and 26 is looking pretty promising as well. So there's something that's working.
Yeah, I can really kind of feel that enthusiasm. I mean, what is it like personally working at a place like that where the bar kind of keeps getting higher?
I think between the high expectations around growth, layered with everything happening more broadly in the ecosystem with AI and the ability for you to really sort of supercharge and 10x the things that you do, you know, the cliche of the 10x team and the 10x founder. At Rokt, it very much is the case. We have a sort of 10x operator mindset at every level in the organization. So it's super exciting, as you said. You can hear it in my voice.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing environment to be a part of. But it's not for the faint of heart. I think you need to be ready for the ride. But if you are, there's a lot to be derived and won from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way that we work with Awin and why Awin is such a great partner of Rokt is that obviously you have a very rich ecosystem and a broad ecosystem of advertisers. Earlier today during the keynote, it was called out that out of all the affiliate networks, you have actually the largest base of advertisers. And obviously for Rokt, it's really compelling and relevant for us to be able to tap into an ecosystem of brands that could actually derive and find value in the Rokt ecosystem. Now, obviously, we cannot work with everyone, and so this is where other things that Awin brings to the table comes into play. The first one, and I think that that's the crux of why I love working with Awin, is the fact that we actually built a deeper integration using the Awin master tag. And so one of the sort of flip coins to the relevance piece that I was talking about, which is very important to the Rokt value proposition, is the data and the signals that we get. The only way for me to be able to show you a relevant offer is if I understand that other offers that I've shown to people like you, how they've performed. And if I don't get those signals, it's very hard. And so what we're able to do today, thanks to the master tag, is very quickly onboard advertisers that can actually pass back and integrate those richer types of signals, which in the past wasn't necessarily the case. And so this movement that Awin had in terms of being a platform that not only helps with attribution, but actually also helps with integrating and capturing more of those signals and bringing those signals back to the partners has been sort of a stepping stone and sort of a next stage in our evolution. And so I think that's sort of how we leverage the partnership, is sort of this on-ramp, if you will, for advertisers that we are trying to simplify every single day. So I work very closely with the teams, not just to find more relevant brands that can find value, but also find ways for us to be able to activate those faster, more efficiently, and scale across the Rokt ecosystem.
And I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know if you do either, but after
wish I had.
All these years of growth, what does the future look like for Rokt in terms of things that you're focusing on, and where are things going to take you next?
Yeah, I think there are quite a few areas that are continuously evolving. I think especially with the advent of AI and everything happening more broadly in the ecosystem, figuring out where consumers are going to be and how consumer behavior is going to be reshaped and sort of evolve is central to how we think about things. When we think about Rokt as a channel that helps transform the commerce media and sort of that transaction moment, the question is, what is that transaction moment going to be? Is it still going to be on the sites and apps of brands? Is it going to exist in LLMs? Is it going to be in other ecosystems? So part of the thinking is, where should Rokt be as we continuously evolve? And then on the flip side of that, or sort of the parallel path to that, which goes back again to the heart and soul of Rokt, is the algorithm that we have, and sort of how can we continuously drive the most relevance to consumers. And because of everything that's happening from an AI perspective, from a LLM perspective, from a data processing perspective, our ability to be even more effective in finding the best thing possible to show someone at a given point in time has been sort of really multiplied. And so now our goal is, how can we continuously build that sort of infrastructure and ecosystem that would allow us to solve for that customer need and continuously be that channel that is truly incremental, efficient, and solves for a need in an ever-evolving sort of marketing landscape.
Okay, you dropped a few trends in there as well. If I had to push you for an answer, what's the single biggest trend you'd say you're talking about at the minute in the office?
I think the biggest trend is probably centered around data. I think it is truly about how can we continuously evolve, both from like an audience perspective, but then also from like a targeting and conversion perspective. Like, what are all these signals that we are sort of capturing, and how can we layer those things in to be able to help a brand not just find value at some point with Rokt, but find value from the start with Rokt based on all of those learnings that we have, and then continuously optimize and drive efficiencies for them. Like everything nowadays, if you think sort of big picture, it's much more costly for brands to acquire customers. It's much tougher for brands to even understand attribution with everything happening. So we're trying to solve for all those things while, again, centering everything around measurability and data. I think if you figure that piece, everything else falls into place, going back to our beautiful flywheel. If you understand your customer, and not just the customer as in the advertiser or the brand, but the end consumer that they're trying to work with, if they find value, everyone else finds value. And so we go back to that first principle every single time we try to figure out the next action that we need to take as an organization.